Dear learner, welcome back again to Playwright with TypeScript UI Automation Testing Session 12. In today's session, you will learn how to interact with radio button and checkbox in Playwright with TypeScript. Now let's see an example where like Playwright, like a checkbox on radio button might be there in the web page. So this is the one of the sample site like guru99.com where you could see there's a radio button and checkbox is there. So what is the way we can interact with the radio button? So first we need to identify the like radio button, and there might be multiple buttons might be there from a single option, and you can select one option at a time. So you cannot deselect it or uncheck it. You can check so automatically option will be selected for radio button, but if you want to like deselect it, you need to select the other option. So automatically the first option will be automatically deselected or unchecked. So that is the way you can deal with the radio button. Whereas for checkbox, right, there might be multiple options for the checkbox. You can select one by one, or you can select all, or you can deselect all. So that is the basic difference between checkbox and radio button. Otherwise, all the assertion, right, whether checkbox is like enabled, disabled, whether is visible, hidden, or whether the checkbox radio button is checked by default. So this is the stuff you can common, you can use it. But for radio button, you can just select one option at a time, whereas for checkbox, you can select or deselect any option from these checkboxes at a time. Okay, now let's understand what does the way in the real time we can interact with the radio button and the checkboxes in Playwright with TypeScript. So to interact with the radio button in Playwright with TypeScript, user need to use locator.check method along with other assertion to verify its state. What are the important methods available for dealing with radio button? To be visible, so we can check whether the element is visible or not. To be hidden, it is opposite to the visible, through which we can check whether the element is hidden. Whereas to be enabled, user can check whether the element is enabled or not. To be disabled, it is opposite to be enabled, through which user can validate whether the element is disabled or not. To be checked, in case sometime right any option is already checked, you can validate it. So with the help of the to be checked method, user can check or validate whether radio button is checked or not. Scroll into view if needed. This method primarily works for most of the different element available in the web page, like edit box, button, link, radio button, checkbox, drop down, anything. It is mostly common. So this method will be used to scroll an element into the visible area of the browser window if it is not already visible. This method is called on a locator which represent a specific element on the page. The check, this is the important methods to select or check any radio button. If the radio button is already checked, the method will return immediately. Now let's see the implementation. So this is the official site, right, where first we will try to interact with the radio button. Okay, so let's go to the VS Code. So this is the new spec file I created for today's session. Interaction with radio button and checkbox.spec.ts, and this is nothing but the import functionality, right, for the whatever we are importing from the at the rate playwright slash test, and this is the test cases. The test cases name is like introduction with radio button and checkbox in Playwright, and this is the website we are just navigating to. After that, we are navigating to the website. Let's identify any of the button, radio button here, and then try to interact with the button with all the possible methods available in Playwright with TypeScript. So let's try to identify it, that button locators. So select, go to the page and right click on the inspect button. Now you can mouse it over to any of the options here. So you could see this is the tag is starting with input and type is radio. That means it is a radio button. So tag input tag might be common for radio button, checkbox, or edit box or input field. But that tag will not suffice to let user know there is a edit box or radio or checkbox, but you need to also parallelly see whether type is there or not. For text box, type equal to text. For checkbox, it will be checkbox. For radio button, type equal to radio. Now you could see there's ID is there, value is there. So ID is an locator techniques, and through which we can create a CS selector expert. Let's try to create a CS selector here. So in case you know the ID, so with the help of the tag name, you can use the ID. Tag name has ID value to create a CS selector. So copy that ID, and here like move your cursor, press Ctrl F, and give the tag name input hash sign, and then give the ID. So it will identify your element. You could see 1 out of 1. That means this is the CSS selectors we are able to create in this page to identify the option 1 radio button. Now let's copy it and let's try to create a variable for this radio button. So we'll be using constant, say give radio button 1, okay, equal to page dot locators. As we'll be using the CS selector, so we need to call that locator method, and you can give it the value whatever you already identified or just written down for the identify the element, which is nothing but the CS selector. Now with this variable whatever created for this radio button, we can use that scroll into view if required. That's method we can call it. So here automatically it will visible, so no need to use it. But in some cases wherever that option is not visible in the default browser, so you can use it so that your control will go to that particular element and you can easily visualize the your execution and different operation. Now what we can do, we can try to call the important 5 method to be visible, to be hidden, to be enabled, to be disabled, to be checked. Okay, so here we will be using await, expect, then the variable name dot to be visible. So it will assert that is option is visible. Then we will use await. We can copy it, this part. So initially option will be visible, but option will not be hidden, right? So you can use not operator dot to be hidden. So it is not hidden because it is visible. So it will be also assertion will be validation will be done. Then we'll be using again that await expect radio button 1 dot to be enabled. So it will be enabled definitely. After that we can check the negative one, not enabled, which is disabled dot not dot to be disabled. Okay, so it will be again pass. Now by default radio button 1 is not checked, so we can go for the negative condition again, dot not dot to be checked. So it is not checked by default, so that also will go, assertion will go positively. Then what we can do, we can try to select the radio button. Okay, so what is the option we can call, dot check, so it will just check the radio button option, so on. Okay, after check what we can do, we can just wait for a couple of second, 2 second, and then we can validate after check that it will be checked, right? Once you check, that means option is getting selected, so it will be to check, to be checked, it will be checked. Okay, again we can wait for 2 seconds. After that, in case we want to validate again, that is not checked, so we can try to identify the other options and we can try to click on that, so automatically first option will be automatically unchecked. Okay, so this is the ID for the radio button 2. So we'll create a locators here. We'll create a variable for the radio button 2. Okay, so radio button 2, and here my bad. So we'll create a variable for the radio button 2. Okay, we can change the variable name because variable should be unique. And here what is the ID here, bfb hyphen 7 hyphen 1, so we need to change. Okay, sorry, let's see for the option 2. Option 2 is vfb hyphen 2 sorry 7 hyphen 2, so I can change it here to 2. So it is highlighting, identifying the element radio button 2 options. Now what we can do, we can try to validate that radio 2 is not checked. Okay, so radio 2 will not be checked here. Now what will be checked, we'll be doing the radio button 2 to checked. Okay, now let's check the radio button 2 dot check. So now radio button 2 will be checked. So after radio button 2 is checked, what will happen? Radio button 1 will be unchecked. So that is the validation I can do it. Radio button 1 will be unchecked and radio button 2 will be checked now. because you already checking the radio button 2, because radio at the same time only one option can be checked. So that is the way we can remove the not part. So this is the code we are writing so far. We are navigating to the page. We are trying to identify the radio button 1. We are just calling into the element, because here automatically that option will be disabled, but if required you can scroll later point of time. We can validating the radio button is visible, radio button not hidden, radio button enabled, radio button not disabled, radio button 1 not checked by default. We are checking the radio button 1, and then we are validating the radio button 1 is checked. Now waiting for 2 seconds. We are identifying the radio button 2, and we are validating that radio button 2 is not checked initially. After identifying it, then we are checking the radio button 2. Now we are validating that radio button 1 is not checked but radio button 2 is checked, and waiting for 2 seconds, and it will close the browser. So that is the way most of the script we can try to write it. And in case we are having other options, we can try to create a variables, or we can directly interact with the options, whatever way you want to do it. We can also do it for the option 3, or radio button option 3. Now this code is ready. Now we can try to run it in the terminal. So what is the command you need to write? Npx space playwright space test, then your space. This is the spec file name, introduction with radio button and checkbox dot spec dot ts, as project equal to chromium browser. You can try to execute, and headed mode. Okay, project equal to chromium space hyphen hyphen headed. Now let's try to run it. Okay, option 1 selected. After 2 seconds, option 2 got selected. After 2 seconds, page is getting closed. So your test case passed. All the assertion is getting passed successfully. And you can, in case you are having like say 5 or 6 option, 4 option, you can try to identify all the option, and you can try to select it one by one based on your requirement. So that is the way, like you can able to interact with the radio button in case any radio button is available, and multiple option is also available with the for the same section. Okay, you can try to validate whether it's visible, so whether it's hidden, enabled, disabled, to be checked, to be not checked. You can go to the scroll into view, you can check it also. But radio button can be only selected only one option at a time. If you select other option, automatically the previous option will be deselected or unchecked. Now we'll discuss about the checkbox. So I already told, right, for the checkbox, you can try to check one or all at a time, or you can check or uncheck. If you click on the check, right, it will be checked. If you just call the uncheck method, it will be unchecked. Okay. So like all the option you can select, check or uncheck at a time. It is not like the radio button where only one option can be selected. Let's see. Okay, user can interact with checkboxes in Playwright with TypeScript using locator.check, locator.uncheck, and locator.setCheck methods, along with the the validation to be checked assertion for verification. So these are the common one: to be visible, to be hidden, to be enabled, to be disabled, to be checked. These are the common one, similar to the radio button. There is no difference. It will to be visible, so it will check whether the element is visible or not. To be hidden, it will check whether the element is hidden or not. To be enabled, it will validate whether the element is enabled or not. To be disabled, it will validate or check whether the element is disabled, which is nothing but the opposite of enable. To be checked, it will checks whether the checkbox is checked or not. Scroll into view if needed. This method again used same way, used to scroll an element into the visible area of the browser window if it's not already visible. This method is called on a locator, which represent a specific element on the page. Check to select or check any checkbox. If it is already checked, the method return immediately. Uncheck to deselect or uncheck any checkbox. Set check, like locator.set checked, and here you can pass true or false. True means it will select the checkbox, false means it will just deselect or uncheck the checkbox, right? So locator.set check true or false method checks or unchecks the checkbox based on the boolean argument provided. True means checked, false means it will uncheck or deselect. Now let's see the implementation. So here we can wait for 2 seconds. We are not removing the code. Okay. Then what we can do, we can try to identify the checkbox option 1. Okay. So same way we can try to do it. Let's copy this code. Same thing, I think we can copy it, and we'll just change that one little bit. Okay. Now what we can do, for radio button, we can, for checkbox, we can change the variable name called checkbox 1. Now what is the locator for checkbox 1? Let's see it. Okay, you could see checkbox is there, right? So instead of XPath, CSS, we can create XPath. So what is the syntax? Slash slash tag name, and here you can use third bracket at the rate ID equal to the value of the ID. What is the ID value for the checkbox? Or you can create a CS selector, whatever is required, right? So I'm just showing you the all the options. Okay, you could see one out of one option is being displayed. So that is fine. So let's change it here. Either it can be CSS or XPath. So it's fine. Now we can scroll into view required only, and we can validate that by default it will be visible, not hidden, enabled, not disabled, and not checked by default. Now we are checking it, so we can expect that it will be checked now, and wait for 2 seconds. Now we can go for the other option, say checkbox 2. Okay, this is the variable, uh, and here we can change that locator value. So what we can do it, we can use the same way, the XPath, but the value ID value will be different here, right? What is the ID value for the second option? Let's see, checkbox 2. You could see VFB hyphen 6 hyphen 1. So I can change it to 1. Otherwise, rest of the step is fine. So now checkbox will be not checked after identifying it. Now we are checking it. So checkbox 1 will be also checked. Checkbox 2 will be also checked here. So that is the difference here, because it is not affecting the checkbox 1. In case you are selecting the checkbox 2, still your checkbox will be checked, and here checkbox 2 will be also still checked. So that is the way you can do it. Now let's try to run the code again in the Chromium browser. So it will open the page. It will first deal with the radio button, select the option 1. After 2 seconds, select the option 2, and now option checkbox 1 will be selected. After 2 seconds, checkbox 2 will be selected. Okay. The other way, suppose say select the identify the third checkbox. Okay, so here I will be creating a variable for third checkbox. Here you can change the value called 2. So that is the, I think, options for the checkbox 3. Okay, VAV hyphen 6 hyphen 2. So we have already did it. Now last other also option will be using set checked. Okay, that is the another option, right? To set checked any option. So what we'll be doing it, we'll be calling that checkbox 3 dot set checked. Okay, so here we can pass it true, so it will be checked now. Okay, so we can wait for 2 seconds as well. Okay, now if you want to just deselect checkbox 1 and 2, so what is the way we can do it? So we can make it false. After waiting for 2 seconds, we want to deselect all the checkboxes. Okay, so here it will be checkbox 1 dot set checks, and you can make it false. So similar way, all the checkbox, if you want to deselect, you need to just do it with the changing the variable name. Like that's all. So what will happen here? It will expect work based on the code we are writing here. Let's save the code and let's try to run it once more time and see whether your test cases is getting passed or not properly. So radio button will be checked. After 2 seconds, radio 2 will be checked. After 2 seconds, checkbox 1 will be checked. After 2 seconds, checkbox 2 will be checked. After 2 seconds, checkbox 3 will be checked. After 2 seconds, all the checkbox will be unchecked. Okay. So what's happening here? Okay. Checkbox set checked false. Because it is happening too fast, maybe it is the problem. Okay, we can wait for 2 seconds so that it will be happening. Yeah, let's run it once more time. Otherwise, you can generate the get the report. You can understand what the failure is there. That will be, you can do the analysis and you can fix your code. Okay. Now checkbox one got selected, checkbox two selected, checkbox three selected. Now checkbox three deselected. Okay, checkbox one, checkbox two deselected, checkbox three deselected after 2 seconds. So you could see it is working perfectly fine. So you no need to panic about that in case any failure sometime, because all the thing it is working like in a single second and might be having some problem. Okay. So that is the way we are just able to do it, interact with the single element one by one. But now, like there might be some situation where you might be having three or four options, especially for the checkbox, and you want to select all, or you want to deselect all at a time instead of highlighting the element one by one. So what is the approach? What will be the approach? Okay. So this is the approach, right? To check all checkbox using Playwright with TypeScript, user can use a loop to iterate through all elements found by common locator and apply the check or set check true method to each. Okay, so what we'll be doing it, we'll be wait for 2 seconds again, and now what we'll be doing it, we will try to create a common locator for all the checkbox. It will only work for the checkbox primarily, not for the radio button, because radio button only one option you can select at a time. So what we can do, we can create a variable called checkboxes. Okay, so let's try to identify all the checkboxes. So what is the common properties? So you could see tag name equal to input, type equal to checkbox. So here we can create some generic expath at the rate type equal to checkbox. Okay, you could see three option is coming because there are three checkbox. So that is the common locator or expath or CSS you can create it, so that it will try to identify all the checkboxes available, right? So three checkboxes is coming. So we'll be just changing it here. So it will be actually giving you the three checkbox. Okay. Now what we can do, we can try to create another constant variable for the count. How many option is there? Okay, count, checkbox count actually equal to await, then its variable name dot count method, we can call it. So it will give you the count. Now what we can do, we can loop through each checkbox to check them, check them all. So we'll be using a for loop, simply for loop let I variable equal to 0 colon I less than count. We're starting with 0, so it will go till count minus 1, I plus plus. Now here what I want to do, I will be, okay, want to check them. So await variable name checkboxes dot all the checkboxes. So I need to call nth, and here you need to pass I, right? Because for one by one I'll be checking it. Dot check. That's all. Okay, so here check will happen. Now what I want to validate, that after checking the checkbox, all the checkbox will be checked, right? So here I want to assert that all checkboxes are checked now. So similar way I can use that same loop. Okay, I equal to 0, I less than count. You can create new variable, j, k, anything, or you can use the same variable. Here I will be using expect, okay, checkboxes dot n for every I dot to be checked. That's all. Okay. Now again I want to like uncheck them. Okay, after 2 seconds. Say I will be waiting for 2 seconds again. Okay, now loop through each checkbox to uncheck them. Okay, so what we can do, we can call the uncheck method here, or we can call set check dot set checked, and you can use false here. So true means it will select it, and false means it will deselect or uncheck. That's all. And after that, assertion will happen that assert that all checkboxes are unchecked now. So here, what you need to do, you need to use a not condition. That's all. Okay, that will work. Now let's try to run it and let's see what's happening here. So for radio button, option 1 will be selected, option 2 will be selected. For checkboxes, option 1 will be selected, option 2 will be selected. After 2 seconds, every 2 seconds we are waiting. Option 3 will be selected. Now option 1 will be deselected, option 2 will be deselected. For checkbox will be deselected. After 2 seconds, all the checkbox will be checked and validation will be done. After 2 seconds, all checkbox will be unchecked and validation will be passed. So your test is run successfully. One pass, there is no failure. Total time is 25.8 seconds. Now let's try to get the report. Okay, npx space playwright space show hyphen report, and you can validate that all the step whatever we have tried to execute, right, all is coming here. So this is executing in the chromium also. This is the total time taken 24.3 second. All one executed, all pass. This is the timestamp. Okay, and this is the folder name, this is the spec file name, this is the test case name, interaction with radio button checkbox playwright. And if you expand it, you could see it is navigating to the page first, website first. After that, it is scroll into the element, it is validating whether it's visible, not hidden. Okay, enabled, not disabled, not to be checked. After that, we are trying to check the radio button one, then we are validating it is checked. After that, we are trying to identify radio button 2, it is validating that it is not checked, and then we are trying to check it, and now we are validating radio button 1 is not checked, and we are validating radio button 2 is checked now. And after that, we are trying to identify the element for the checkboxes 1, and we are trying to scroll into view. We are validating that checkbox 1 is visible. Okay, not to be hidden. Okay, enabled, not to be disabled, not to be checked, checkbox 1. And we are identifying the checkbox. We are trying to check the checkbox 1, and we are trying to validate that it's checked. Now we are trying to identify the checkboxes option 2, and we are validating that it is not checked by default. We are trying to check it. Then you are validating that checkbox 1 and checkbox 2 both are checked, because checkbox 2 checking is not impacting your checkbox 1. Now we are trying to identify the checkbox 3. Now we are trying to all the checkbox we are trying to uncheck it with the help of the set checked false method. Now what we are doing to do, we are trying to create a generic locator techniques, and we are getting the count how many locators there with the same approach. Now we are trying to like check all the options. You could see it is running the for loop, so it is checking the first, second, nth one, which is indexing 1, and third option also. 3 checkboxes checked, and we are validating that all checkboxes are checked. And now we are trying to again unchecking all the checkboxes with the help of the for loop, and we are validating that all checkboxes are unchecked now. So that is the way you can design your script, and you can try to interact with the checkbox or radio button accordingly based on a requirement for any web-based testing to meet your requirement need. Okay, so that's all from today's session. Thank you.